Hey guys, welcome back for another top 3 dinner recipes. Last week I mentioned that July is the birthday month of my channel, so in order to celebrate 2 years of having a YouTube channel, I'm going back through all the videos and the recipes that I've shared over the last 2 years, and I am choosing our top 3 using a certain ingredient. And last week we shared our top 3 ground beef recipes. This week, we're gonna be sharing our top 3 chicken recipes. So coming in at number 3 was one that I did a couple of years ago. And it's been really fun going back through these videos, but some of my earlier videos are a little cringy. So this one was delicious though. The reason this one stuck out in my mind was because my daughter took the leftovers to school the next day, and one of her friends messaged me asking me if I could make him this same recipe: chicken Alfredo French bread pizza.
Tonight's recipe, we're going to be using half of our rotisserie chicken and these 2 loaves of French bread and some Alfredo sauce and mozzarella cheese, and we're going to be making some chicken Alfredo French bread pizzas. I've never had this before, but I saw it on Pinterest and I was just super excited to try it, and I'm stretching this rotisserie chicken over 2 meals, so I'm excited for that too. So I cut up half of my chicken here. I'm going to save the remaining half for tomorrow's meal, and we're going to be using this on our pizzas. Next, I'm going to take my French bread loaves. I'm going to cut them in half, and then I'm going to cut them in half like this. So I'm going to end up with 8 French bread pizzas, and I'm hoping to have some left over because that's going to be lunch this week. Once I have my bread sliced, I'm going to take this Alfredo sauce. I'm going to spread this evenly among my French bread pizzas. You could have made your own Alfredo sauce. I mean, that would have been cheaper, I'm sure. But this is a convenient way for a busy working mom. So I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to spread it around on my French bread. And then I'm going to be adding the other 2 toppings, which is chicken and mozzarella cheese. Next, I'm going to take the chicken and I'm going to spread a few pieces around on top of that Alfredo. And then we're going to be topping these pizzas with mozzarella cheese. Once I have the mozzarella cheese on my pizzas, I'm going to put those in a 450-degree oven for about 20 minutes or just until the cheese gets to your liking. And I'm just putting a little bit of parsley flakes on here just to add a pop of color, just because pretty food tastes better, right? And so this is our French bread pizza. I just cut these into half, and this was so delicious. We had about 5 slices left, and so we have that packed up for lunch tomorrow. But let me tell you, you need to try this recipe. It was super delicious, and I was just surprised that we were able to get such a delicious meal, and we still have half of that rotisserie chicken left. So this is definitely a win. I am definitely making this a lot more. You need to try it.
Chicken Alfredo pizza was so good. It's so easy to make, especially if you get that rotisserie chicken, and it was really affordable. So you definitely need to check that one out. Now, in our number 2 spot was one that I completely forgot about, and once I saw this recipe, I was like, I need to make that again. This is a good one, y'all. It's chicken bacon ranch casserole.
So I found this tiny bit of onion hiding in my fridge. I've got this egg noodles that were left over from last week's haul that I need to use up. And I've got a block of cream cheese that I have softening on the countertop here. So I'm going to go ahead and dice up that little bit of onion. I've got my pasta water going so I can drop those egg noodles in there. And remember, I already have the chicken prepped from last night's chicken quesadillas. So that's going to save me a lot of time. Once I finished dicing up that little bit of onion, I moved it over to my stove just to saute that in a pan with some butter. Next, in my large mixing bowl, I'm going to be adding in the chicken that I had prepped last night. I am going to kind of take my hands in there and just kind of tear that chicken up a little bit more into smaller pieces. And so I'm just going to work on this chicken, and then I'm going to mix all of the ingredients together. I have shredded what I have left of some cheese. I had some bacon that I had cooked for breakfast this morning. I reserved about 5 or 6 pieces of that bacon and chopped that up. And then we are going to be assembling our casserole. So now to assemble the casserole, I'm going to take about a cup of sour cream. I'm going to add that to my chicken. I'm then going to take the block of cream cheese that I had softening on my countertop. I cubed that just to make it easier when I start mixing the casserole ingredients together. Then I'm going to add in most of that bacon. I'm going to leave a little bit for my topping. And then I'm going to add a lot of the cheese, probably about half of what I shredded, and then leave the rest for the topping as well. And I'm just going to give this a really good stir. I am going to add in half of a can of evaporated milk. The recipe I was following called for heavy whipping cream. It was more expensive and it didn't fit into the budget. So I thought I would try using evaporated milk and see how creamy this would turn out using that. And I really couldn't tell a difference in the taste. Once I gave that a good stir, I took that little bit of onion that I sauteed on my stove. I added that to the mixture as well. And then I drained the pasta. Remember the egg noodles, I had that going on the stove as well. So I'm going to drain that pasta, and then I'm going to be adding the pasta to this mixture, and then we'll get it ready for the casserole dish. I added salt and pepper, and then this is what makes it so delicious. I had like a little bit of ranch seasoning left in this container, so I just poured out exactly what I had. Should be about a tablespoon, but you can add as much or as little ranch seasoning as you like to taste, but we love things really ranchy here, so if I had more, I would probably have added 2 tablespoons. But I just gave that another mix, and then we are almost ready to put this in our casserole dish. So once all of that was combined, I poured my drained egg noodles, gave that another stir, and then we're going to be ready to put this in our casserole dish. I have preheated the oven to 350 degrees, and I also have my casserole dish sprayed with some nonstick spray. Now that my mixture is all well combined, I'm just going to put this in my casserole dish and try to spread it in an even layer. And then I'm going to top the casserole with the cheese and bacon that I had left over. And as I was looking in my pantry, I had like a teeny tiny smidge of French fried onions in the cabinet, and I thought I might as well use those up. It wasn't in the recipe, but I was just trying to clean out some things from the pantry. So I took what few of those French fried onions and I just layered those across the top as well. That was a really nice crunchy addition, and it added some flavor. Once I had my casserole topped, I added it to that 350-degree oven. Now remember, the chicken's cooked, the pasta's cooked. We're just heating this through, and so I let that go for about 20 minutes, and this is what it looked like when it came out, and it was amazing. Best dish of the week by far.
If you love chicken bacon ranch, anything, that is delicious, and you definitely need to give that one a try. So now for our #1 recipe. This one we just did recently, guys. It's one of my recipes from cooking meals from around the world. If you have not checked out that series, you need to, because that's been a challenge for me, and I've learned so much. But this was the first time that I've ever eaten this food. It was definitely the first time I've ever made this food. And the #1 chicken dish that we're gonna share today is butter chicken. Here are all the spices that I read in this recipe that I'm going to be using. Of course, we're going to need some butter. I've got my salt and pepper. We're going to need some garlic. I have this minced garlic in my fridge, so I'm going to use this. You could use fresh. You could use the granulated if you wanted, I guess. I've got paprika, chili powder, some ground cinnamon, some cumin. I actually have this tiny bit of cumin in here, so I'm going to use that up and then get into this cumin. Then I have this turmeric. In some of the recipes that I've read, it said it could be optional. I had this. I don't even know why. It's stuffed in the back of my spice cabinet. And so there we go. We're going to be using these spices for our butter chicken. The first thing I'm going to do is get these chicken breast tenderloins cut into like 1-inch pieces. And then we'll get them marinated. All right, so now I'm going to add my spices. according to this recipe that I'm following. This recipe comes from like GusCooks.com, and it's easy butter chicken recipe. I'll leave it linked down below since I'm following a recipe, but take all my spices here that's on my chicken. I'm gonna put the lid on this. I'm gonna give it a shake. Oh, look at my chicken. All right. Next it says to add in half a cup of Greek yogurt. This is plain, don't get vanilla. So this is a little bit more than half a cup. It's like an ounce more. But it's okay, I'm gonna add it anyway. All right, I'm just gonna kind of toss the chicken around in that yogurt. This is what it looks like. Put the lid on it and let that marinate in the fridge for about 30 minutes. While my chicken is marinating, I'm gonna go ahead and cook up this basmati rice. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and dice up this small onion, and then I'm gonna grate up some of this ginger, and then we're gonna get our chicken in the pan. For the ginger, I learned this from Rachel Ray. Just take a teaspoon and you can scrape off the peel of the ginger before you grate it. All right, we're gonna start this chicken. I'm gonna take 2 tablespoons of butter, my diced onion, and I'm gonna cook the onions until they're translucent. Once the onions are translucent, we're gonna put in a teaspoon of garam masala. Right. So a teaspoon of the garam masala. Give that a stir. And then we're gonna be adding in the chicken. All right, now we're going to add in our chicken that we had marinating in our spices and yogurt. The recipe says to let this cook for about 5 to 7 minutes, and then we'll start mixing in the sauce. Next, we need to put in a tablespoon of garlic. You could use fresh. I'm going to use this minced from my fridge. And then we're going to grate some of this fresh ginger right into the dish. Really good. All right. Let's give that a stir. Here's the chicken, all cooking up. Now it says to add tomato sauce in. I've got 1 8-ounce can. And then I need to add a can of water, or you can use chicken broth if you prefer. All right, now I'm gonna bring that back up to a simmer. I'm gonna cover and let that chicken just kind of hang out and cook for about 5 minutes, then we'll finish up the sauce. All right, this has been simmering for about 5 minutes. Smells really good. Now I'm going to pour in 1 cup of heavy cream. Give that a stir and let this simmer for an additional 5 minutes. Okay, so after 5 minutes, I'm gonna put in 2 more tablespoons of butter, let that melt, then we'll be ready to serve. And here is the buttered chicken, all finished. All right, let's get this plated up and let's give this a taste. Here's that buttered chicken, all finished up. It smells amazing. I am serving this up with some basmati rice. I did sprinkle a little dried parsley on it just to make it pretty, but this looks really good. All right, y'all. My first time making Indian food. I think it looks pretty. Let's see how it tastes. All right, here we go. Butter chicken, basmati rice, some naan bread. I have never even tasted Indian food, so let's give it a taste. And we'll start with just some chicken. Chicken. That is really creamy. and has such a unique flavor. What was I afraid of, y'all? That is so good. Okay. What was I afraid of? This is so good. This is amazing. That butter chicken was so good that I've actually been like craving going to eat Indian food. And I am planning on doing that. Like, I've never been to an actual Indian restaurant, and that is on the bucket list this year. It was so good and so unexpected for me to cook with those flavors and to enjoy it that much. So that butter chicken, you need to check that out. Like always, I'll have the recipes linked down below, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, our top 3 chicken recipes that I've shared on this channel. If you did, give me a thumbs up. That's the easiest way to support my channel, and it lets me know that you enjoy the content that I'm sharing. If you haven't already, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.